Hi, I'm Alex from the Southern Ukulele Store, and this morning I'm here filming this more so than ever as a fan of good instruments and a fan of the history behind builders, and just as a person that just wants to share what I have experienced with other ukulele players and other ukulele fans out there. So this today was my last opportunity because this ukulele and this ukulele have both sold. They sold almost upon arrival here. Both sold before I even got them up on the website. This one is still available, but it's three very different tenor ukuleles built by the same man, and it's an incredible story. And if you give me 5-10 minutes of your time today, I'd love to tell you it. So, the builder of these ukuleles is a man called Ichi Sumi. The brand of ukuleles is Sumi Kobo. And Ichi Sumi started off in the early 1970s as a mandolin builder at a Japanese factory that became very famous for making instruments that exceeded the quality of the instruments they were copying. So anybody that plays guitar may have heard about lawsuit guitars, and Ichi Sumi was one of the builders that really pioneered Japanese manufacturing. You know, he was probably just at the time somebody on a production line, but the way that things were built 40-50 years ago, without most of the modern machinery that we use today, you know, that building craft and technique is lost by a lot of people, and Ichi Sumi has always continued that, and with that and the years of experience doing what he does best, he's really commanded for his instruments. Specifically over the last 30 years, his mandolins and his guitars, but if you look online and you do quite a bit of in-depth research, you'll notice that for about the last 15 years, the odd ukulele has crept through. Very few of them have made it to the Western world. They've almost always sold in Japan to people that were always already familiar with Ichi Sumi's work. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that for us here in the UK, Sumi Kobo is a 45-year overnight sensation, which is insane because these ukuleles are among the best I've ever played. There are 2 or 3 other ukuleles that are just as iconic in his range. I don't have them here to display today, but if you look back through our YouTube channel and you search for Sumi Ukuleles and Southern Ukulele Store, you know, a Hummingbird Tenor will come up, a Eucalyptus Concert will come up, and a couple of the 5A Koa really beautiful cherry blossom inlay tenors come up. But these 3 are none of those. These 3 were all designed by Ichi Sumi for the 2019 NAMM show, and they were arguably the main reason that we go. So what do we have here and what makes them so special? Well, what we have here is a copy of a 1920s style 3 Gibson soprano, but enlarged to a tenor size. So the 1920s Gibson soprano was bought out, I believe, to be a competition to the very famous Martin style 3 soprano. That's the ukulele with the stripe down the fingerboard that everyone will have seen, whether they know what it is or not. And at the time, the Gibson style 3 didn't do particularly well. I'm sure they sold quite a few of them, but in comparison to other things in the catalogue, it very quickly fell by the wayside. And what was unique about that ukulele were the inlays on the fingerboards. So if you look at the inlays on the fingerboards of this Sumi, what you see is a very specific pattern that hasn't been replicated by Gibson or any other mainstream company ever since. And I believe that's what caught Ichi Sumi's eye when he was building this instrument. And what he's tried to do is a faithful recreation in a larger size of a ukulele that has gained quite a bit of traction over the last 60-70 years, nearly 100 years since it ceased production. So this is a Honduran Mahogany Tenor with an ebony fingerboard and bridge, the custom inlays, maple binding, a traditional Gibson style headstock, planetary tuners, a very unique sound hole rosette, which I'll try and do a zoom in on as well. But yeah, this ukulele is very reminiscent of the ukulele that Martin bought out a few years back, and for about the same price you can get something that is made as a true one-off by a man by a single man with nearly half a decade's experience. But yeah, fantastic ukulele. I'm going to give it a play and see what you guys think. But that ukulele just instantly caught my eye at the NAMM show because it was harking back to a time that no longer exists and offering something that I think is both traditional and different. So why wouldn't we want it here at the Southern Uke Store? The second ukulele we're going to look at today is even more unique than the traditional model. So this ukulele, you'll see in the middle with the orange stain, is made of Keyaki wood. Now Keyaki wood is Japanese elm. That's the easiest way I can explain it. There are lots and lots of derivatives of that wood, but the most commonly used term here in the West for this wood is Japanese elm. So what does elm sound like? Japanese elm sounds somewhere between mahogany and koa. It's quite a reserved wood, it's quite sweet, but it has a bit of soulfulness to it too. I hope you agree when you hear the sound sample. But yeah, sound-wise, this ukulele really caught my attention, and the looks are a massive bonus, but the looks are almost secondary to just how sweet this uke sounds. Now this also has an ebony fingerboard and bridge. You'll notice it has a different bridge to the vintage style, style 3 that we just looked at. But it also has a really unique Zelkova inlay on the fingerboard. Now, Zelkova is Japanese elm. So this is an inlay that matches the wood that the instrument's made out of. Isn't that cool? I loved that feature. So a Japanese elm ukulele with Zelkova, aka Japanese elm inlays on the fingerboards. There's only one fingerboard, not fingerboards. Okay, once again, it's a unique headstock with a unique version of the Sumi logo. It has some deluxe appointments on the binding. So there's a maple binding, but there is also, I have to just double check, abalone on the front and the sound hole rosette. But yeah, just a great ukulele, and I really hope that you enjoy it. One of us is going to give it a play now for you. the third ukulele we're going to look at today is the last ukulele that we chose from the collection, and this ukulele is completely unique. So this is Sinkar Cedar with a Ziricote back and sides. So Sinkar Cedar, it's like bog oak. Sometimes you see instruments that are manufactured out of woods that have come from drained swamps, or they've been submerged and preserved for hundreds, sometimes thousands of years, and this is an example of that. Now, I couldn't find enough information, and there is a language barrier, so I couldn't find out exactly how old the Sinkar Cedar is, but if you treat it as if this cedar is, kind of ancient cedar, that kind of gives it its texture, and the stain helps because it has a kind of rustic look, but the grain pattern on this cedar is just beautiful. And the back of this ukulele is Ziricote. Ziricote is something we normally only see laminated because it can be quite thick and quite dense, but the back and sides on this ukulele are incredibly thin. Just a fantastic, delicate ukulele. This uke also has some abalone fittings as well, including the abalone stripe down the back, which isn't something you see very often. Just a beautiful ukulele. I'm going to play this one for you too. It's such a shame this one has sold, and I believe that it's probably unlikely we'll ever be able to get another one of these, but if we do, keep an eye out on the Southern Ukulele Store website. Just another fantastic example of a Sumi. It also has a unique flower inlay there on the fingerboard. Yeah, I'm going to give them a play now and see what you guys think.